What does Islam mean? Islam means submission to Allah, obedience to God's commands. And this, we believe, is the way of life. It is the religion that God has and always had ordained and decreed for human beings to follow. That Moses, Abraham, Noah, Jacob, the prophets sent to the children of Israel, including John the Baptist and Jesus, and of course God's last and final messenger, Muhammad. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon all of his messengers. We believe all of these messengers were Muslim, people who submitted to God. The way of living that they followed was a way of submission and surrender to the Creator. About 1,400 years ago, when the Prophet Muhammad was born, the world had reached its final stage. Humanity had entered into a final era, and that it was time for a final message, a message that was not only for a particular place and for a particular time, but a message that was suitable and a detailed guidance that was suitable and is suitable for humanity all the way up until the Day of Judgment. Our belief are, number one, the Shahada, or the testimony of faith. That is to testify and bear witness that Allah alone is worthy of worship, and that Muhammad is the servant and the messenger of Allah. The second is the 5 obligatory ritual prayers that every Muslim has to pray 5 times every day within certain time frames, within a certain time period. So these are the 5 daily prayers. And so with the zakat, that is the obligatory amount of money that every Muslim has to give from their excess wealth annually to certain categories of people. Also the fasting month of Ramadan, where Muslims abstain from eating and drinking and from intimate relations between the husband and the wife from dawn until sunset. And then of course the Hajj, or the pilgrimage to Mecca. So these are the famous 5 pillars of Islam. Our belief in Allah, our belief in the angels, in the books that God has revealed throughout the ages, and the messengers and the prophets whom Allah has sent. The events that are going to happen before the Day of Judgment, the life in the grave, the Day of Judgment itself, and the paradise and the hellfire. Our belief in decree of God. But there are also many other acts of worship that a Muslim performs. For example, supplication or dua, or asking God for things. The issue of the animals that we are permitted to eat and the animals that we are prohibited to eat, and the same with drinks. And also the whole issue of financial transactions. What sort of transactions are allowed and what sort of transactions are prohibited? For example, one of the things that is strongly condemned is something called riba, which is often translated as interest. So we find that the Sharia is a comprehensive and complete way of life that has guidance for all aspects of the human being. It not only teaches us how we live our life, but also matters of interaction between the human being, between the husband and the wife, between the ruler and the ruled, between the teacher and the taught. And it may come as a surprise to even some Muslims that Islam has an economic system. The Quran also details laws by which rulers should govern and judges should judge. All of these things are taught to us and detailed to us in the Sharia. And it is the way that leads us to that which we as Muslims desire and hope for, which of course is the pleasure of God and the paradise.